It's the world according to Dutch. And now your host, Dutch Coleman.
I fly with the stars in the skies. I am no longer trying to survive. I believe that life is a prize, but to live doesn't mean you're alive. Don't worry about me and who I fire. I get what I desire, it's my empire. And yes, I call the shots, I am the umpire. I sprinkle holy water upon the vampire. In this very moment, I'm king. In this very moment, I'm slave.
Oh man, welcome back. I had to let the beat drop on that one. I love that. I love that track. I want to start off a little bit of continuation of the last segment, talking about the Super Bowl, and just some general thoughts. Peyton Manning. Now, while he didn't play the spectacular game that we envision a guy going out on top does, riding off into the sunset after throwing 4 touchdowns and all those things. This guy, remember, came back from a very devastating injury, some that people thought that he wouldn't recover from. And then even after that, he had more injuries he had to deal with. And at an advanced stage, especially playing a game like football, an advanced stage of your life, it is very difficult to be able to maintain that level of play. I mean, it is very, very difficult to do that. So I want to give a shout out to this guy, man. This is a guy who's gone to 4 Super Bowls. He's won 2 of them. 4 different coaches, 2 different organizations, 2 things that are unprecedented. This guy is, again, obviously on the back end, the reports of him retiring seem to be spot on. And I commend him. I would love to see him come back, but the only caveat I have with that is if he gets to keep this defense or a like defense. I mean, this guy has turned into a sort of a game manager. He wasn't healthy, so I'm still kind of curious. Could he come back next year healthy, 100% healthy, and be, even if it's just a little better than he was this year, with that defense, be able to put on a similar performance? Now, again, how healthy was he even at the end of the year? Could he recover from that even at the age he is? I'm interested. I know it's not my body to say, hey, man, go through this stuff all again, but I'd be one that would be interested in that storyline next season if he decided to come back again. And I'm actually hoping for that. I know it's a long shot. Probably won't happen. Most definitely, I'm going to go on a limb and say it's impossible. It won't happen. But I would not be upset if he did. I would wish him well health-wise. I would hope for the best. Again, I'm not the one getting my head pounded in by defensive ends coming around the corner. But I would love to see that. And it would give a chance to tarnish this whole riding off in the sunset as a champion legacy. And his legacy is set and sound. Now, I don't consider him the best quarterback of all time. I know some people feel that way, especially with some of the accomplishments he had, but there's still a guy named Tom Brady. There's still a guy named Joe Montana. Those are the 2 that I really look at in my lifetime that I got to witness play up close and personal, that I would put in front of him right away. That doesn't take anything away from his individual talent, his brain that he's brought to the game. The guy's like a coach on the field. And I would love to see him even go into coaching. I just would love to see Manning remain a part of the NFL. And if for one more year, if you can hear me, Manning, if you're listening to this podcast, if you can hear me, one more year. You know how the crowd chants, one more year, one more year. I would love to see that. So, again, 4 Super Bowls, 4 different coaches. Now, we give coaches a lot of credit when they do it with different quarterbacks. My guy, Joe Gibbs, was able to do it with multiple quarterbacks, and we applaud him as, obviously, he's a great coach. Did it with different offensive lines, but the same philosophies. He plug and play. Different guys came in, different defenses that were known for different things. He plugged and play. Quarterback is the most difficult position to plug and keep it moving. That is the most difficult position to do that in. And this guy was able to go with 4 different coaches. Now, granted, the offense in a lot of times remained the same. He was the offense. He was the mastermind. It's not like he had to learn 4 different systems. But he has 4 different coaches that are able to say, I coached in the Super Bowl because of that guy. And no one else can say that. So shout out to Peyton Manning. I'm gonna be, this is the end of his last season. I'm gonna be giving him props as much as I can, as I do the rest of this show, because the guy's just amazing. And I wasn't a fan of his in college. I thought he was extremely overrated. I thought he was a one-trick pony that excelled individually against a lot of bad opponents. And it seemed to me that whenever it was a big game, a big opponent, they stopped him and they stopped him dead in his tracks, and he never could get beyond what he could do as an individual, never could take a team anywhere. And we saw the next year after he left, T. Martin took Tennessee and they won a national championship. So that being said, this guy finally took his team to the promised land 4 different times. They didn't win all of them. They won 2 of them. But to me, he shook the label that I had of him coming out of college as being extremely overrated. Now, was he a good player in college? Yes, he was a good player. But they really treated this guy as the second coming, and he didn't have the accomplishments attached to his name to warrant how they treated him. But now I'm going to give this guy props. Peyton Manning is one of the all-time greats. He's not the all-time great in my book, but he's one of the all-time greats, and I'm going to give him props. You can win a Super Bowl with less than 200 yards. Obviously, the defense did it. Your arm didn't do it. But to the victor go the spoils. He still gets registered with his second Super Bowl victory, 4 different coaches, 2 different organizations. That's not an accident. I'm going to give him that. And I actually think they could have done a similar thing with Osweiler. I think maybe he makes more mistakes in this game, but Peyton made a couple mistakes. But maybe Osweiler made a couple more mistakes. But this defense still did to Cam what it did to Cam. So I'm going to give my man Peyton some props. I'm not going to hate on him. I'm happy for him. Now, I do want to address some things that I thought prior to the game that didn't come to fruition. Number one, I thought with the outside rush, the gangbusters type attitude that Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware had, that they could possibly be in trouble if they hit that edge as hard as they had hit it in the past. I thought that there would be some possible opportunities to run, some lanes for Cam to step up into and go, which is very dangerous if you've ever defended a mobile quarterback. Now, the kicker was that interior. Those interior guys, they pushed that pocket back. They kept it sound. They kept it solid. They didn't create those levels and those lanes that needs to be created when a mobile quarterback gets out of there. He didn't have that, because when your ends push up so hard and so fast, it creates a space that allows your quarterback to leak out, for lack of a better term. It stayed a pocket, because when your defensive ends are pushing and your interior is pushing, that pocket does nothing but move back further. It doesn't break down. It moves back further. So there's no lane. And without that, a mobile quarterback is going to destroy you. So please understand that. Without that, a mobile quarterback is going to destroy you. Now, the second thing, again, I touched on it earlier, the secondary. This does not happen without that secondary. If you recorded the game, go back and watch the game. Look at the amount of time Cam had before those sacks got there, before DeMarcus Ware got there, before Von Miller got there. On many occasions, Cam had more than enough time to drive that ball downfield and hit a receiver that was open. But there was nobody open. They weren't open. These were coverage sacks. They showed a overhead view or a backup view, and everyone was covered. Everyone was covered. Now, we do remember the drops. There were a few drops, and there were a few wide open receivers that Cam missed. But shame on Cam, because when you have coverage like these guys were covering, you have to take advantage of your opportunities when the guy's open. You can't miss. You cannot miss. When you're playing the number 1 defense in the National Football League, you cannot miss. You cannot miss your opportunities. You got to get it done. You got to make it happen, period. And conversely, when you do make it happen, your receivers drop it. Now, so you're talking about double the issues now, because when I finally do make a play, you drop it. And when you're open and I miss you, it's a team effort in failure. So this is what we had. We had a team effort and failure, and it was also combined with the pass rush, the solid effectiveness of the interior defensive linemen. Everything went well for Denver, and everything went poorly for Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. So it was a perfect storm for the Denver Broncos, and a perfect storm in a negative way, in a hurricane fashion, for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm not gonna go overboard and act like Cam just stunk it up. And that's one of the problems I had with people that didn't play the game, or maybe they just view it differently from me. You got to give the defense credit. This isn't always about a guy playing poorly. This is about me making you play poorly. There are people in front of you trying to make you play poorly. You're not doing a solo with a guitar where it's all on you, and if you mess up, you mess up. No, there are people standing in front of you. This isn't golf where everything's on you. There's no defensive player of the year in golf. There's no Tiger Woods diving in front of a McIlroy shot, making it go errant into the woods. No, it's all on you in golf. It's all on you. And even in tennis, individual sport, I'm hitting the ball to you, and you have to react to the spin I put on that ball. You have to react to everything I put on that ball. You have to do that. In football, there are big guys trying to stop you from doing what you're trying to do. And we have to respect the fact that Denver did a wonderful job of keeping Cam Newton in. And I got to say, Shula, the offensive coordinator, has to take some blame, because I saw Wade Phillips dial up a defense, a game plan, or what have you, that stifled Cam Newton and that Carolina Panthers #1 ranked offense. Now, could I have seen some adjustments by Shula? Yes, I could have. I should have. There should have been some adjustments. I didn't notice any or much of any. Now, I'm sure if I had a conversation with Shula, he'd tell me what he tried, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see any advancement. Now, the third quarter, they did come out and get a bunch of yards, and then a turnover happened. But I'm talking about finishing the deal. I'm talking about an effective plan against what you saw in the first half. The second half, I didn't see much difference in what they were trying to do. Guys didn't drop a pass, or Cam completed a pass, but I didn't see anything different philosophically that would make me think that Shula and or Cam Newton had a different plan or a different idea to combat this defense that's kicking you in the face. That's the problem I have with Mike Shula, and that's a problem I have with Cam Newton. Now, I'm going to lean a little more on the coach with that. We saw Cam do what he did, and it wasn't very well. So now at that point, I'm looking to the sideline, and I'm going, Coach, help me out. I'm getting my butt kicked out here. Everyone's seeing me getting my butt kicked. Can you throw me something? Can you give me a trick play? Can you give me some magic? Can you bring that whiteboard over here and give me something? And I didn't see that. So I'm going to credit my man Wade Phillips, who might not be a great head coach, but he's a darn good coordinator, darn good defensive coordinator. And I hope they don't say, hey, man, we need to hire him as a head coach. No, don't do that. Some people were not meant to be head coaches, and he seems to be that guy. Give him a raise. Give him a huge raise. Give him head coaching money. But let him focus on what he focuses on best. And I think everyone will be happy, including Wade Phillips and his career. As I go out to break, I want to thank you again for listening. I'm going to try and do my best to give you what you're looking for. And I appreciate you patronizing my work. Gone to break.